Shriram. Even though he hesitated in speaking to her in the presence of his mother, uh, he realized within himself the emergency of the situation and said, "Listen to my advice, O princess, and do not misunderstand me. If you wish well of me as well as of yourself, please accept my suggestions and stay at home. You will be obeying my order and rendering services to your mother-in-law by remaining at home. O good lady, you will be benefited in every way. For a woman, there is no other duty more sacred than reverently adoring the feet of her husband's parents. Whenever my mother think of me and feeling disconsolate due to her love for me loses her balance of mind, do you console her, my love, with soothing words by narrating old legends to her. I tell you sincerely and so lovely, it is for my mother's sake, so charming lady, that I leave you here. By staying at home in deference to my wishes, you will easily obtain the reward of virtue approved of by one's elders and the Vedas, whereas by giving themselves over to Oduresi, the Sheikh Galwa, King Nosha, and all others suffered great hardships. As for myself, listen, O fair and the sensible lady, I will soon return after redeeming my father's words. Days will steal away quickly, therefore heed my advice, O charming lady. If, on the other hand, you persist in your obstinacies due to your affection for me, though pretty one, you will eventually come to grief. The forest is rough and most dreadful with its terrible heat, cold, rain, and blast. The tracks are beast with prickly grass and thorns and stones of the various kind, and you will have to tread them without any shoes. Your lotus-like feet are delicate and lovely, while the paths are most difficult and intercepted by huge mountains, caves and chashmas, streams, rivers and rivulets that are unapproachable, unfathomable, and terrible to look. Bears and tigers, wolves, lions, and elephants raise such a cry as staggers one's presence of mind. The ground will be the conch and the bark of tree your raiment, while bulbs, fruits, and roots will be your food. Do you think even these latter will be available to you all the year round? You will get everything according to its season. Man-eating demons roam about in the woods and assumes all sorts of the deceptive forms. The water of the hills is exceedingly unwholesome. The hardship of the forest are beyond all descriptions. There are terrible serpents and fierce wild birds and multitudes of demons who steal both man and woman. The boldest shudder at the very thought of the forest, while you, O fond-eyed lady, are timid by nature. You are not fit for the wood. O fair lady, the world will revile me when they hear that I am taking you to the forest. Can a female giant who has been brought up in the nectarine water of the Mansa lake live in the salt water of the ocean? Can a cuckoo that has made merry in a young mango grove have its appropriate place in the thickest of the Karela bushes? Pondering this in your heart, stay at home, O moon-faced lady. The hardship of the forest are great. He who does not reverently follow the advice of the disinterested friend, preceptor, and master has to repent fully at heart and surely harm himself. When Sita heard the soft and the winning words of her beloved Lord, her lovely eye filled with tears. His soothing advice proved as scorching to her as moon-lit autumnal light to a female chakravaka bird. Videha daughter could make no answer. She was filled with agony to think that her pious and loving Lord would leave her behind. Perforce restraining her tears, Earth daughter took courage and throwing herself at her mother-in-law's feet, spoke to her with her two palms joined together. Forgive, O venerable lady, my great impudence. The Lord of my life has tendered me only such advice as is conducive to my best interest. I have, however, pondered within myself and realized that there is no calamity in this world as great as being torn away from one's beloved Lord. O Lord of my life, O abode of mercy, handsome, genial, and wise, O moon, for the lily-like rays of Raghu. Without you, heaven would be an obnoxious as hell. Father and mother, sisters and dear brothers, beloved kinsmen and friends, father-in-law and mother-in-law, preceptor and relatives, allies and even sons, however good-looking, well-behaved and congenial, nay, whatever ties of affection and kinship there exist, to a woman bereft of her beloved Lord, they are far more tormenting than the scorching sun. Life, riches, house, land, city, and kingdom, all these are mere accountments of woe to a woman bereft of her Lord. Luxury to her is loathsome, like a disease, and ornament a burden, while the world is like the torments of hell. Without you, O Lord of my life, nothing in this world is delightful to me, as the body without soul and a river without water. Even so, my Lord is the woman without her husband. If your company, my Lord, I shall be happy in every way so long as I behold your countenance resembling the cloudless moon of an autumnal night. Birds and beasts will be my kindred, the forest my city, and the bark of trees my spotless robe, and the heart of leaves in the company of my Lord will be as comfortable as the abode of gods. The generous hearted Salvan gods and goddess will take care of me like my own father-in-law and mother-in-law. A charming litter of grass and tender leaves will, in the company of my Lord, weave with Cupid's own lovely cushions. Bulbs, roots, and fruits will be my ambrosial food, while mountains will be as good as 100 royal mansions of the Ayodhya. Gazing on the lotus feet of my Lord, every moment I shall remain as cheerful as female chakravaka birds during the daytime. You have mentioned a number of hardship and perils, woes and afflictions attendant with forest life, but all these put together will hardly compare with an iota of the pains of separation from my Lord. O fountain of mercy, bearing this in mind, O priest jewel of wise men, take me with you. Pray do not leave me behind. I refrain from making a lengthy submission, my Lord, knowing as I do that you are all merciful and have access to the hearts of all. If you leave me in Ayodhya till the expiry of your exile, you may rest assured that I shall not survive. O friend of the afflicted, O handsome and congenial Lord, O storehouse of amiability and affection, as I walk along the road, I shall know no fatigue gazing on your lotus feet. All the while, I shall render all sort of service to my beloved Lord, yourself, and shall relieve him to all the toil occasions by the journey. Leaving your feet and resting in the shade of a tree, I shall fan you with a cheerful heart, beholding your swarthy form, bedwed with sweet and casting a look on the Lord of my life. I can have no occasion for grief. Spreading grass and leaves of trees on an even patch of ground, this handmaid of yours will need your feet overnight. Even as I gaze on your tender form again and again, hot winds will have no effect on me. Who can dare look at me when I am by the side of my Lord, any more than a hare or jackal would regard a lioness? How true it is that I am delicate of body, while my Lord is fit to bear the hardship of forest life, that it behoves you to undergo penance while it is worthwhile for me to toil in luxuries. When my heart did not resent even on hearing such cruel words, I am sure my wretched self shall live to bear the terrible pangs of separation from my Lord. So saying, Sita was overwhelmed with distress. She could not bear her Lord's separation even in words. Seeing her condition, the Lord of Raghu was convinced in his heart that if I left behind against her will, she would not survive. The all-merciful Lord of the solar race therefore said, give up lamentation and accompany me to the forest. Grief is out of season today. Prepare yourself for the journey or to the woods at once. Consoling his beloved consort with these endearing words, the Lord threw himself at mother's feet and received her blessings. Pray, return soon and relieve the people's distress, and see that your heartless mother is not forgotten. Shall the tide of my fortune ever turn, O goodness, that I may behold the charming pair with my eyes again? When my dear son will arrive the auspicious day and blessed hour that your mother shall live to see your moon-like countenance? When again shall I call you my darling, my pet child, O Lord of Raghu, O Chief of Raghu race, my boy, and summoning you, clasp you to my bosom and gaze upon your limbs with delight. Seeing that his mother was too overwhelmed with emotion to speak any more and was greatly agitated, Sri Rama consoled her in various ways. The gravity of the occasion and intensity of affection was more than one could describe. Janka's daughter then threw herself at her mother-in-law's feet and said, I tell you, mother, I am most unlucky is that at a time when I should have served you, heaven has exiled me to the forest and has rushed to grant my desire. Pray be not perturbed any more, but at the same time cease not to entertain kindly feeling towards me. Relentless is fate, and there is no fault of mine either. The mother-in-law was so distressed to hear Sita's words that I have no word to describe her condition. Again and again she pressed her daughter-in-law to her breast and, recovering herself, admonished and blessed her. May the blessed state of your wifehood, the longevity of husband, know no break and endure so long as the stream of Ganga and Yamuna continue to flow. The mother-in-law blessed and admonished Sita in various ways, and the latter parted from her most affectionately, bowing her head at her lotus feet again and again. When Lakshmana got the news, he started up in conclusion and ran with a doleful face, trembling all over with his hair standing on end and eyes full of tears. He clasped Sri Rama's feet, much excited with emotion. He was unable to speak and stood gazing piteously like a fish taken out of water. There was anxiety in his heart. What is going to happen, O good heaven? He said to himself. All my joy and merits are over now. What will the Lord of Raghu command me to do? Will he leave me at home to take me with him? When Sri Rama saw his brother with joined palm having renounced his home and reckless about his own body, he addressed him in the following words, well versed as he was in the rules of correct behavior and the ocean of amiability, love, artlessness and joy. Pray do not lose your balance of mind out of affection, dear brother, and be convinced in your heart of heart that the end will be the happy one. Those who reverently and constantly follow the advice of their father and mother, preceptor and master, have reaped the fruit of their birth, or as their coming into the world has been in vain. Bearing this mind, brother, listen to my advice and wait upon the feet of our father and mother. Bharata and Ripusudna Shatrughna are not at home, while the king is aged and full of grief for my sake. If I proceed to the wood taking you with me, Ayodhya will be rendered completely masterless, and the preceptor and parents, the people as well as the family, all will be subjected to spell of terrible suffering. Stay then to comfort all, otherwise, brother, we shall incur great sin. A king whose reign brings suffering to the beloved people surely deserves an abode in hell. Bearing in mind this maxim, dear brother, stay at home. Hearing this, Lakshmana felt much distressed. He turned pale at these soothing words in the same way as the lotus blast when touched by frost. Otherwise, overwhelmed with emotion, he could not answer, but clasped his brother's feet in anguish. My lord, I am your slave, and you are my master. If you abandon me, what help My lord, you have given me a sound advice, but due to my faint-heartedness, it sounds impracticable to me. Only those noble men who are self-possessed and champion the cause of virtue are fit to be taught the gospel of Vedas and moral philosophy. I am your child, fostered by your loving care. Can a giant lift Mount Mandara or Meru? I know no preceptor, nor father, nor mother. I tell you sincerely, believe me, my lord, whatever ties of affection, love, and confidence exist in the world, as declared by the Vedas, for me they are all centered in you and you alone. My lord, O friends of the afflicted, O knower of the innermost heart of all, piety and prosperity should be taught to him who is fond of fortune and noble destiny. He, however, who is devoted to a feat in thought, words, and deed, should he be abundant, O ocean of grace. Hearing these soft and the polite word of his noble brother, the all compassionate Lord clasped him to his bosom and consolated him, perceiving that he has lost his nerve through love. Go and ask leave of your mother, then quickly return and accompany me to the woods. Lakshmana rejoiced to hear these words from the chief of Raghus. Great was his gain and mighty loss was averted. He went up to his mother, delighted at heart as a blind man who has regained his lost vision. Approaching her, he bowed his head at her feet while his heart was with ShriRama, the delighter of the Raghu race, and Janaka's daughter. Finding him depressed in spirit, the mother inquired the reasons. Uh, when Lakshmana related at length the whole incident, Sumitra was shocked to hear this cruel report. As though on finding wildfire all about her, Lakshmana apprehended that things would take a wrong turn that day, and that his mother would frustrate his plan due to her affection. He therefore felt nervous and hesitated in asking leave of her, for he thought within himself, "Good God, will she allow me to accompany Sri Rama or not?" Remembering the beauty, amiability, and noble disposition of Sri Rama and Sita, and considering the king's affection for them, Sumitra beat her head as she perceived that the wicked queen Kaikeyi had played him false. Perceiving that the time was unpropitious to them, she collected herself and, possessing as she did a naturally good heart, spoke in gentle words, "My dear son, Videha's daughter is your mother, while Rama, who loves you in every way, is your father. Ayodhya is there where Rama dwells. There alone is the day where there is a sunlight. If Sita and Rama are really proceeding to woods, you have no business in Ayodhya. Our preceptor, parents, brother, gods, and masters, all these should be tended as one's own life. Rama, however, is dearer than life, the soul of our soul, and the disinterested friend of all. Whosoever are worthy of adoration and most dear to us should be accounted as such only or as they are related to Rama. Bearing this in mind, accompany him to the forest and derive, my boy, the benefit of your existence in the world. It is your great good fortune as well as mine. I solemnly declare that your mind has sincerely taken up the abode Rama's feet. The woman alone can be said to have borne a male issue, whose son is a devotee of Rama, the Lord of Raghus. Otherwise, she has better remain issueless, for she who deemed herself fortunate in having a son hostile to Rama has yearned in vain. It is due to your good fortune that Rama is proceeding to the forest. There is no other ground for his doing so. And by the highest reward of all meritorious act is verily this, to have spontaneous love for the feet of Sita and Rama. Never give way even in dream to passion, anger, jealousy, arrogance, and infatuation. Giving up all sort of moral feeling, serve them in thoughts, words, and deed. You will be happy in every way in the forest, since you will have with you your father and mother in Rama and Sita. Take care, my son, that Rama may be put to no trouble in the woods. That is my admonition to you. My admonition to you, dear child, is this: it is up to you to see the Rama and Sita lead a happy life in the forest through your good office, and forget their father and mother, near and dear one, as well as amenities of the city life. Having thus admonished the Lord of Tulsidas, Lakshmana Sumitra granted him leave to accompany Sri Rama, and then invoked her blessing on him. May your devotion to the feet of Sita and the hero of Raghurace be constant and untainted and even new. Bowing his head at his mother's feet, Lakshmana left at once with timid heart, apprehending any further development that might balk his plans and interfere with his accompanying Sri Rama to the forest. It looked as if a deer had luckily succeeded in bursting a strong snare and made good his escape. Lakshmana went straight to where the Lord of Janki, Janka's daughter, was. He was glad at heart to find himself in the company of his beloved brother. Bowing to the charming feet of Sri Rama and Sita, he accompanied them to the king's palace. The men and women of the city said to one another, "How strange that God well nigh fulfill our hope and then shattered them." With emaciated bodies, a sorrowful heart, and doleful face, they felt miserable as a bee that has been robbed of its honey. They wrung their heads, beat their heads, and lamented like birds that had been clipped of their wings and were restless without them. A huge crowd had collected at the entrance of the royal palace, and there was an untold grief which knew no bound. The minister Sumitra raised the king and seated him, communicating to him the agreeable news that Sri Rama had come. When he saw his two sons with Sita, his distress was profound. The king felt much agitated as he gazed on the two sons with Sita. Overwhelmed with emotion, he pressed them to his bosom again and again. The king was too restless to speak. There was a terrible agony in his heart due to excess of grief. Most affectionately bowing his head at his father's feet, the hero of Raghurace then arose and asked his permission to proceed to the wood. "Father, give me your blessing and commands. Why should you be sorrowing at the hour of jubilation by swearing from the path of duty due to attachment for a beloved object? Dear father, one's reputation is lost and obloquy incurred." Hearing this, the king got up in his love, and holding Sri Rama, the lord of Raghu, by the arm, he made him sit down and said, "Listen, my boy. Of you, the sages declare that Rama is the Lord of the entire creations, both animate and inanimate. God requisites our action according to they are good or bad, weighing them in the scale of His judgment. He alone who does an act reaps its consequences. Such is the law of the Vedas, and so declared all. But in this case, we find that one commits the offense and other reaps the fruit. Highly mysterious are the ways of the God. No one is in the world is competent to know them." The king sincerely tried every means to detain Sri Rama, but he discovered Sri Rama's intentions and came to know that he was not going to stay. A champion of the rightness, strong-minded and foresighted as he was, the king thereupon clasped Sita to his bosom and most lovingly admonished her in many ways. He described the terrible hardship of the forest life and explained to her the comforts she would enjoy if she chose to stay with her husband's parents or her own father. Sita's mind, however, was attached to Sri Rama's feet, hence neither home seems attractive to her nor the forest repulsive. Everyone else too expostulated with Sita's dwelling on the way many miseries of the forest. The minister Sumitra's wife, as well as preceptor Vashishta and other prudent ladies, fondly urged her in gentle tones. "Nobody has exiled you to the forest. Therefore, do as your husband, parents, and preceptor bid you. The advice, soothing, friendly, agreeable, and tender as it was, did not sound pleasing to Sita's ear. It seemed as if the touch of the rays of the autumnal moon had made a female chakraka bird restless. Sita was too modest to give any reply, but Kaikeyi flared up on hearing their talk. She bought hermit's robes, ornaments, and vessels, and placing them before Sri Rama, addressed him a soft accent. You are dear as life to the king, O hero of Raghu line. He is too soft to shake off his sakrap and attachment for you. He would sooner forfeit his virtue, good reputation, and his happiness in the other world, then ask you to proceed to the woods. Bearing this in mind, do as you please. Sri Rama rejoiced to hear this stepmother admonitions, but her words pierced the king like shafts. Will my wretched life never depart? He said to himself. The people felt much distressed, while the king fainted. No one knew what to do. Sri Rama presently dressed himself as a hermit and, bowing his head to his parents, departed. Having completed all the equipments and preparations for the journey to the woods, the Lord with his spouse and brother bowed to her feet of the Brahmans and the preceptor Vashishta and departed, leaving everyone in bewilderment. Issuing out of the place of the party halted at Vashishta's door and found the people scorched with the fire of impending separation. The hero of Raghu race comforted all with soothing words, and then summoned host of Brahmans. He requested his preceptor to give them submission for a year and captivated their heart through courtesy, gift, and humility. Gifts, courtesy, gift, and humility. He gratified mendicants with gifts and attentions and seated his friend with pure love. He then called his manservant and the maidservants, and entrusting them to the care of his guru, spoke to him with joined palm. My lord, pray look after them and tend them as their own father and mother. Again and again, with joined palms, Sri Rama addressed each one present there in soft accent. He alone is friendly to me in every way, through whose good office the king derives solace. Take care, all of you, my most clever citizens, to see that none of my mothers is smitten with the pain of separation from me. In this way, Sri Rama consolidated all and cheerfully bowed his head at the lotus feet of his preceptor, invoking Lord Ganpati, Goddess Gauri, Parvati, and the Lord of Kailasha, and receiving the blessings of his Guru. The Lord of Raghu proceeded further. There was a great lamentation as he sailed forth. The piteous wail of the citizens was revolting to the ears. Evil omens appeared in Lanka, and Ayodhya was plunged in grief, while the abode of God was overcome with mixed feeling of joy and sorrow. When the spell of unconsciousness broke, the king woke and, calling Sumantra, thus began, Rama has left for the woods, but my life refuses to depart. I wonder what joy it seeks after by clinging to the body. What agony more severe than this can I have, that will draw my breath out of my body? Then recovering himself, the king said, follow him, my friend, with your carrot. Two tender bodied are the two princes, and delicate of frame is Janka's daughter. Pick them up on carrot, show them round the forest, and return after 3 or 4 days. In the two strong-minded brother refuses to return, for the Lord of Raghu is true to his words and firm of resolves. Then do you entreat him with joined palm, my lord, kindly send back the daughter of Mithila's king. When Sita gets frightened at the sight of the jungle, avail yourself of the opportunity and tell her my advice in the following words. The parents of your husband has sent his message to you. Please return home, my daughter. There is much hardship in the forest now with your parents and now in your husband's home. Stay whatever you please. In this way, try all the possible means. If she come back, there will be a support to my life. Otherwise, all this will end in my death. Nothing can be avail against an averse fate. So saying, the king dropped unconscious on the ground, exclaiming, Bring Rama, Lakshmana and Sita and show them to me. Receiving the king command, Sumantra bowed his head to him and having got ready a most swift chariot, went to the outskirts of the city where Sita and the two princely brothers were. Then Sumantra delivered to them the king's message and with humble submissions persuaded Sri Rama to ascend the carrots. Having mounted the carrot, Sita and the two brothers set out of their journey, mentally bowing their head to Ayodhya, finding Ayodhya masterless with the departure of Sri Rama. All those who have assembled there followed in their wake with an agitated mind. Sri Rama remonstrated in many ways, an ocean of compassion that he was, and the crowd turned homewards. But dragged by the affection they bore to him, they came back and joined the party once more. Ayodhya presented him a most dismal appearance, as though it were the dark night of the final dissolution of the universe. The men of the women of the city looked like ghastly creatures and were frightened to see one another. Their houses appeared like so many crematories, their retainers like ghosts, and their sons, relations, and friends like messengers of death. Trees and messengers of death. Trees and creepers in the garden withered, while streams and the pond repelled the eyes. The numberless horses and elephants, animals kept for pleasure, urban cattle, chatka birds, peacock, cuckoos, chakravakas, parrots and the manas, cranes, swans and chakoras, all stood restless due to their separation from Sri Rama. They looked like so many pictures drawn here and there. The picture resembled an extensive and sticky forest full of fruit, and the many men and women residing therein represented so many birds and beasts. God assigned Kaikeyi the role of Bhila woman, who set the whole forest in the fairest blaze. The people could not bear the fire of separation from the chief of Raghus, and they all ran away in distress. They all come to this conclusion in their mind: there can be no happiness without Rama, Lakshmana and Sita. The whole community will live where Sri Rama take up his abode. Without the hero of Raghu race, we have no business in Ayodhya. Having thus firmly resolved, they followed him, forsaking their happy homes, which were the envy of God. Can the pleasure of sense overpower those who hold the lotus feet of Sri Rama dear to their heart? Leaving the children and aged people in their homes, all the citizens accompanied Sri Rama, and the Lord of Raghu made his first day's halt on the bank of Tamsa. When the Lord of Raghu saw his people overwhelmed with love, his tender heart was much afflicted. Lord Sri Rama, who in all compassion is readily touched by others' pains, addressing them in affectionate, soft, and agreeable tones, he comforted all in ways more than once. He also gave them varied instruction in their moral duty, but overmastered by love, they would not turn back, and even though urged to return, Sri Rama could not afford to take leave of his amiable disposition and loving nature. The Lord of Raghu thus found himself in fix, overpowered by grief and toil. The people fell asleep, and then deluding potency of gods further helped to benumb their minds. When 2 watches of night has passed, Sri Rama addressed the minister in endearing terms: Father, drive the carrot such a way as to leave no tree. By no other means can our as to leave no tree, our object be accomplished. Going their head to the feet of Lord Shambhu, Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita mounted the car, and the minister Sumitra immediately drove the carriage now in one direction and now in another, thus confusing the track. All the people woke up at daybreak. The Lord of Raghu has gone, they loudly exclaimed. Nowhere could they find the track of the carrot, and ran about in all directions crying, Rama, O Rama. It seemed as if a bank had foundered in the ocean, as a result of which the party of the merchant that had boarded it felt much agitated. Everyone explained to the other how Rama had forsaken them. Perceiving their distress, they condemned themselves and praised the fish that died as soon as they were taken out of water, and said to one another, A curse of our life without the hero of Raghu race. If God has torn us from our beloved, why did he not vouchsafe death to us on our asking? Thus, wailing in variety of ways, they all returned to Ayodhya full of remorse. The anguish of parting was terrible beyond words. Everyone survived in the hope of seeing Rama on the expiry of the term of exile. Men and women alike started religious observance and fast for ensuring Sri Rama's return. They were as miserable as the male and the female Chakravaka birds and the lotus flower are in the absence of the sun. Accompanied by the Sita and the minister, the two brothers arrived at Shrangvarpura. Beholding the celestial stream Ganga, Sri Rama alighted from his car and fell prostrate on the ground with great joy. Lakshmana, Sita, and the minister too made obeisance, and Sri Rama rejoiced in common with them all. A fount of all joy and blessing, the Ganga bring all delight and derived away all sorrow. Narrating numerous anecdotes connected with it, Sri Rama gazed on the wave of the Ganga and told the minister, his younger brother Lakshmana, and his beloved consort the transcendent glory of the celestial stream. They took a plunge in the river, and fatigue of the journey was gone, and their heart rejoiced when they drank of its holy water. That he whose very thought relieves the great toil of transmigration should feel fatigued shows that he imitated the wave of the world. The glory of Raghu race, who is fountain of pure existence, knowledge and bliss, perform actions similar to those of human being, and which constitute a bridge to cross the ocean of the mundane existence. When Goha the Nishada got the news, he gladly called together the near and dear ones, and taking by way of the presents, fruits and roots in baskets slung across their shoulder, he proceeded to meet the Lord with infinite joy in his heart. Protesting himself on the ground and placing the presents before the Lord, he gazed on him with great affection. The Lord of Raghu, who is won by the natural affection, seated him by his sides and inquired about his welfare. The sight of your lotus feet, my Lord, is the root of all welfare. I can now count myself as blessed man. My land, house, and the fortune are yours, holy sir. My family and myself are your humble servants. Do me the favor of visiting my town and confer dignify on me. Let everyone envy my Lord. Everything you have said is true, my wise friend, but my father has commanded me otherwise. For 4 years 10 My home shall be in the woods, and my mode of life, dress, and food shall be that of a hermit. Hence my staying in the village would be hardly advisable. Goha was deeply distressed to hear this. Beholding the beauty of Sri Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita, men and women of the village feelingly said, "What sort of parents, O friend, can they be who have sent such children to the forest?" Other people said, "The king has done well in that God has thereby rewarded our eyes." The chief of the Nishada then pondered within himself and perceived a charming Ashoka tree. He took the Lord of Raghu to the spot and showed to him. When Sri Rama declared that the place was beautiful in every way, the people of the town then returned home after paying their respect to him, while the chief of Raghu retired for performing his evening devotion. In the meantime, Goha prepared a soft and the beautiful bed of the kusha grass and tender leaf and spread it on the ground. He also placed besides him cups of leaves, sakars delicious and the soft full of fruits, roots and water. Having partaken of bulbs, roots and fruits along with Sita, Sumitra and his brother Lakshmana, the jewel of Raghu race, lay down to sleep while his brother kneaded his feet. When Lakshmana perceived that her lord has fallen asleep, he rose and asked the minister in soft accent to retire. As for himself, he got ready his bow and arrow, and sitting at the some distance in the posture of the hero, he kept watch. Guha called his trusted watchman and stations them at different points with great love, while he himself went and took his seats beside Lakshmana with a quiver fastened to his waist and an arrow fitted to his bow. When the Nishada chief saw his lord lying on the bed of the grass and leaves, he felt great sorrow in his heart due to excess of love. The hair of his body bristles, tears flowed from his eyes, and addressed the following affectionate words to Lakshmana. The king's palace is naturally charming. Even Indra's residence can hardly stand comparison with it. Its beautiful attics are built of precious gems and are so lovely as though the god of love has constructed them with his own hands. Free from impurities, exceedingly marvelous of design, abounding in exquisite luxuries and scented with fragrance of flower, they are furnished with lovely beds and lighted with gems, and are full of amenities of every description. Again, they are equipped with coverlets and sheets, pillows and cushions of the various kinds, all sort while white and charming as the fourth of milk. It is in such attics that Sita and Rama used to sleep at night, and humbled by their beauty, the pride of Rati and her consort, the god of love, those very Sita and Rama are now lying on the pallet, exhausted and uncovered. A slight one cannot bear to see the same Lord Rama, who is father and mother, his own family, and the people of the city, his good-natured companions, men-servant and the maid-servants, all cherished as their own lives, sleep on the ground. Nay, Sita, whose father Janaka is famed throughout the world, whose father-in-law is King Dashratha, the chief of Raghus and an ally of Indra, the lord of immortals, and whose spouse is Ramachandra, is lying on the ground. An adverse fate swears none. Do Sita and the hero of Raghura's deserve to be exiled to the woods? They rightly said, fate is supreme. The foolish daughter of Kaikya has wrought a cruel mischief in that she has brought trouble on Sita and the daughter of the Raghura's at the time of the enjoyment. The wicked woman had played the axe in felling the tree of the solar rays and plucked the whole universe in woe. The Nishada chief was so distressed to see Ramas and Sita sleeping on the ground. Lakshmana spoke to him, sweet and the gentle one, imbued with the nectar of wisdom, dissipation, and devotion. No one is source of delight or pain to another. Everyone reap the fruit of one's own action, brother. Union and separation, pleasurable and the painful experiences, friends, foe, and neutrals. Snare of delusions are these. Even so, birth and death, prosperity and adversity, destiny and time, and all the illusions of the world, lands, house, wealth, town, and family, heaven and hell, and all the phenomena of the world, nay, whatever it seems heard or thought of with the mind has its roots is ignorance. Nothing exists in reality. Suppose in a dream a king become a pauper and a pauper become lord of paradise. On awakening, the one does not gain nor does the other lose anything. So must you look upon this world. Reasoning thus, be not angry nor blame anyone in vain. Everyone is slumbering in the night of delusion, and while asleep one sees dreams of the various kinds. In this night of the mundane existence, it is yogi mystics alone who keep awake. Yogis who are in quest of the highest truth and remain aloof from the world. A soul should be deemed as having awoke from the night of the world only when he develops an aversion for the enjoyment of the world of sense. It is only when right understanding comes that the error of delusion disappears, and then alone one develops love for the feet of the Sri Rama, the Lord of our friend. The highest spiritual goal is this, to be devoted to the feet of Sri Rama in thoughts, words, and deeds. Sri Rama is no other than Brahma, God, the supreme reality, unknown, imperceptible, beginningless, incomparable, free from all change and beyond all diversity. The Vedas ever speak of him in negative terms, not this. For the sake of his devotee earth, the Brahmans, cows, and gods, the gracious Lord take the form of man and perform action by hearing of which the snare of the world are broken asunder. Pause 15 for the 30 days recitation. ShriRam, 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 ShriRam. Shriram, 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 Shriram. Even though he hesitated in speaking to her in the presence of his mother, he realized within himself the emergency of the situation and said, "Listen to my advice, O princess, and do not misunderstand me. If you wish well of me as well as of yourself, please accept my suggestion and stay at home. You will be obeying my order and rendering services of your mother-in-law by remaining at home. O good lady, you will be benefited in every way. For women, there is no other duty more sacred than reverently adoring the feet of the husband's parents. Whenever my mother thinks of me and feeling disconsolate due to her love to me loses her balance of mind, do you consolate her, my love, with the soothing words by narrating old legends to her. I tell you sincerely and solemnly, it is for my mother's sake, so charming lady, that I leave you here. By staying at home in deference to my wishes, you will easily obtain the reward of the virtue approved by one's elders and the Vedas, whereas by giving themselves over the obduracy, the Sheikh Galba, King Nosha, and the others suffered great hardship. As for myself, listen, O fair and the sensible lady, I will soon return after redeeming my father's words. They will steal away quickly, therefore heed my advice, O charming lady. It's on the other hand, you are persist in your obstinacy due to your affection for me, O pretty one, you will eventually come to grief. The forest is rough and the most dreadful, with the terrible heat, cold, rain, and the blast. The tracks are beset with prickly grass and thorn and stones of the various kinds, and you will have to tread them without any shoes. Your lotus-like feet are delicate and lovely, while the paths are most difficult and intercepted by the huge mountain caves and the chashmas, streams, rivers, and the rivulets that are unapproachable, unfathomable, and terrible to look at. Bears and tigers, wolves, lions, and elephants raise such a cry as staggers one's presence of mind. The ground will be your conch, and the black bark of the trees your raiments, while birds fruits, and roots will be your food. And do you think even these latter will be available to you all in the year round? You will be get everything according to the seasons. Man-eating demons roams about in the woods and assume all sorts of the deceptive forms. The water of the hill is exceedingly unwholesome. The hardship of the forest are beyond all descriptions. There are terrible serpents and ferocious wild birds and multitudes of demons who steal both more men and women. The boldest shudder at the very thought of the forest, while you, fond-eyed lady, are timid by nature. You are not fit for the wood. O fair lady, the world will revile me when they hear this. Here, then I am taking you to the forest. Can a female Kaijan who have been brought up in the nectarine water of the Mansa lake live in the salt water of the ocean? Can a cuckoo that has made merry in the young mango grove have its appropriate place in the thickest of the Kerala brushes? Pondering this in your heart, stay at home, moon-faced lady. The hardship of the forest are great. He who does not reverently follow the advice of the disinterested friend, preceptor, and the master has to repent fully at heart and surely harm himself. When Sita heard the soft and the winning words of her beloved Lord, her lovely eyes filled with the tears. His scorching advice proved as scorching to her as moonlit autumnal night to the female Chakraka birds. Vidya's daughter could make no answer. She was filled with agony to think that her pious and the loving Lord would leave her behind. Perforce, restraining her tears, our daughter took courage and throwing herself at her mother-in-law's feet, spoke to her with her two palms joined together. Forgive, a venerable lady, my great imprudence. The Lord of my life has entreated me only such advice as is conducted to my best interest. I have, however, pondered within myself and realized that there is no calamity in this world as great as being torn away from one's beloved Lord. O Lord of my life, O abode of mercy, handsome and genial wise, a moon of the lily-like rays of love, without you heaven would be an obnoxious as hell. Shri Ram, Shri Ram.